I was wrong about Splatoon 3. Now, it takes a grown man to admit when they're wrong, and I have to admit to all of you guys that I was wrong. Now, a couple months ago, I was talking about the game, and, this was when very little of the game was even being shown off at the time, and all we knew about was, like, Salmon Run and bits of the story mode, but not really anything else. It looked a lot like just Splatoon 2.5, and it didn't really excite me that much. I wasn't really ready for this game, and, even going to the Splatfest, I was kind of excited, but still kind of worried that it was going to feel exactly like Splatoon 2, and it was just going to dwindle my hype. After sitting and playing the Splatoon 3 Splatfest, I literally think I put in a good 6 to 7 hours throughout the entire day. I played so much of this, not just to get content and for video footage, but because I literally could not stop. So today, I want to kind of talk about my overall experience, and I know this isn't the full game, but it's pretty much what we can expect, at least from the multiplayer point of things. And I'm very excited to talk about this and talk about the things that I loved, the things that I maybe didn't like as much, but kind of just talk about my review of the Splatfest and, what I think Splatoon 3 is going to play like. First, I want to start off talking about the weapons. The weapons all feel really good for one, but of course, let's start off talking about the new ones. The Splatana in particular is probably my least favorite weapon, at least right now in Splatoon 3. Now, I made whole videos on both of the new weapons, but I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick as a quick brief of how I think about it. Right now, I just think the Splatana is just way too weak, at least the wiper version. I'm ready to see the Stamper and then some of the other versions they come out with in the future, but right now, this version is just too weak, and for a sword weapon, I expected it to be a really good sword where I could run up and just slash through enemies, but it came off as more of a projectile weapon still, and that really hurt because I thought this was going to be a really fun melee. So maybe there's a stronger version coming. We know the Stamper is going to be a lot stronger, but right now, this one wasn't a whole lot of fun to play during the Splatfest. But when it comes to the Stringer, I actually hated it at first, but came to love it at the end. I don't know, after playing it a lot and starting to understand the proper way of using it as like a crowd control weapon instead of a charger, I started doing a lot better. Of course, as a charger main, I wanted to just one-shot everybody, but that's not really how you want to use this weapon. You want to be the assister of the kills, not really the one that gets all the kills himself. It's just something that I had to learn to be, and I actually learned to love it like a lot. This is actually one of the weapons I can't wait to get back into the game and try some more when the game launches. And it just makes me even more excited for the other classes that we could be getting under this category of the Splat Bow, and I really hope we get like one giant arrow for a Stringer or something that explodes one giant area that maybe just takes longer and takes more precision to use. I've also learned I still suck with the roller since the very beginning, so I can't really add any comments on that. It's the roller. And same goes for the Splatbrella. I'm just not really good with these two weapons. I've always loved the Luna Blaster, but in this game, it is a freaking monster. Its kit is comboed with a Splat Bomb and the Zip Caster, which allows you just to zip to the other side of the stage where it's normally inaccessible, and you could just completely wreck the other team before you get sent back in your safety zone, which is just incredible. This is probably going to get nerfed to heck. I don't know how in the world this was allowed, but this is going to be one of the best weapon combinations in the game, mark my words. The Splattershot Pro is really good, and combined with the Crab Tank, it literally is going to devastate enemies, I can already tell you. The dualies, specifically the Dark Tetra dualies, are going to be extremely OP as well, thanks to the new squid movement. You can squid surge to the left or to the right by just going in a completely different direction, which I thought was just going to be pointless in this game, but it's actually so significant, especially dual with this, because you can just squid surge one way and then still roll another 4 times with your dualies, which you can completely put your opponent on absolute skates. And yes, you have the Reef Slider, which is, in my opinion, one of the best specials in the entire game. The .52 gallon is still an absolute monster and shreds through enemies in just a couple taps. I've been getting completely destroyed by this thing, by people shooting me once or twice. This thing has so much significant power, it's still a powerhouse in Splatoon 3. Sloshers are still okay in my opinion. They definitely are going to ink a lot of the turf, but as far as getting kills, I find myself trading with people a lot, getting us both killed. Nest Zapper has always been one of my favorite blasters and still is in this game today, and paired with the Tacticooler to give you kind of a stat boost is seriously insane, and it's just even more my favorite in this game. Now, of course, I'm not going to sit here and go through every single weapon. There's lots of other weapons with really cool kits and stuff. I tried a little bit of each, but, it'd be forever if I talked about each individual one. The weapons still feel really good. It feels really good to have all the classics back, some new ones as well, new kits with them, with new specials and new subs paired with them. There's a lot of great things going on, and I think the weapons feel great in this game. Nothing feels too overpowered or too weak, besides maybe the Splatana. Not to mention, I'm still an absolute monster with the Splatter Scope. The world of Splatoon 3 is actually really nice. The hub world, for instance, with Splatsville is so wide compared to the other two games, in my opinion. I feel like there was more alleys, more ways to look around, the shops were more spread out, there were even shops where you had to take ladders up to reach them. I just felt like the world felt more, or literally less, claustrophobic. I also just feel like there's a lot to do now. There's a little station where you get to post letters, since like in Splatoon 2, you couldn't do Miiverse because that was gone with the Wii U. This allowed you to post messages and stuff, even though there's a lot of Among Us all over your lobby. There's also just so many little minute details all over the city. I love it. Every character feels just as detailed and full of expression as the other two games, and I love everything about it. It feels fresh again, it feels familiar, but also feeling new at the same time. There's also plenty of room in this world where I can definitely see extra places being open, like there's a hotel and even an underground subway that's roped off, so I would love to see, you know, kind of the DLC be placed somewhere, like, or maybe they just add extra updates as well. Also have that tabletop turf war mode, which is something else you could do amongst this world. Splatfest were always a really fun addition that got you to jump into the game for a specific weekend and just grind. All the stages are at night, you get to see a festival going on, and this game really makes it feel more like a festival. You can see the idols riding like these giant ships flying around Splatsville, which is really cool, and they're all performing. The music even gets louder as they get closer. All the neon lights are flashing from all the different colors of the teams. There's now 3 Splatfest teams, so you see 3 different colors going all the way throughout your lobby, which is just so neat. It translates into the gameplay as well. Personally, I really love like the Twilight Zones that we had in Splatoon 2, which gave us some weird, unique new stages, but this time we have the Splatfest battles, which is super cool because it has 3 teams battling at once. 2 from the losing teams and 4 from the winning teams sitting in the middle as the 2 other teams attack from the sides. And it's cool because if blue wins, so does yellow, and if yellow wins, so does blue, but red's only job is to win themselves, which is just a really cool concept, and I found it to be so hectic yet fun at the same time. Now, I don't know if this is more OP towards one side or another, because at first, the red team kept winning no matter what in the middle and just wiping us both out, like, completely. But then I saw online that, you know, the red team was getting smoked completely by both sides. So maybe it just depends on what game you're playing in. I really don't know. So you're gonna have to tell me, which side felt more overpowering to you? Did it feel equal? Let me know in the comments down below. Lobby system this time around is phenomenal. Everything takes place within its own little hub where you get to ready up, but then go to the practice range and play around in there until your match begins. This is perfect! There's a little sparring robot that you get to play against, and he pretty much just copies anything that you're pressing on your controller, so that way you can practice dodging or maybe moving out of the way or using a special on it. There's obviously all of its crash dummies like in the first and second games, but you get to just go practice while it finds you a match instead of just sitting on that matchmaking screen. There's a booth where you get to change your nickname and anything with your splash tag eventually when the game comes out, and just all types of other customizable options such as replays and everything you get to play around with on this booth. Once again, probably in between battles. You now have emotes, so each battle ends with each Inkling doing their own little emote that they have customized or really to their weapon right now in the Splatfest. And a cool little ending, it doesn't show the losing team and the losing animations, which I don't care about. I saw some people were kind of sad that's gone. But there's also Splat achievements at the end of the game showing you what achievements you won for that specific battle. There's your clout points, everything's added up at the end, and it's just so quick, clean, and flawless. I love it. In case you accidentally skip your stats at the end of the match, it shows you it at the very end, so that way you can finally see it when you're all back in the lobby and everything and see how well you did compared to the other players. I love that. Not to mention, you can also see the other players that are still in your party playing around in the practice range with you, including your friends that are also online will be sitting by this door until they're able to join up with you. So presumably, you guys are all able to walk around in this area even though your friends are holograms at the moment, which is really cool because this is a real life feed of what they're doing in their own lobbies. There's even segments where me and a whole bunch of people were walking around doing squid bags with each other and even going up the stairs to the little arcade section. Everything is just so clean, from the splat tags, the beginning of the battle, the end of the battle, the stats, even the lobby itself is just so flawlessly done. Finally, and what the sad part is, unfortunately, feels like Nintendo just finally caught up to every other multiplayer shooter in the world that's been doing this for the last 10 years, but they're finally doing it, and it feels so good to finally have a proper multiplayer lobby and connection, and probably partying up is going to be better than ever. It's definitely the small details that make this game shine, and even like the way you come back into battle. If you don't want to blast to a teammate, you could just blast into the beginning of the stage, which is so much better than just respawning in the kettle and slowly walking or swimming your way back into the action. It's stuff like this that continues the action, makes the game feel more fluid, and I just love these little details that they decided to add, and to me make a huge difference. Now unfortunately, I feel like the part that kind of was downhill for me was the map selection. I was not a big fan of the maps that we've had, and even the new ones that they added within Splatoon 3, and I'm going to talk about them real quick individually and tell you kind of how I feel about them. Undertow Spillway had a really cool background. It was like, underneath an abandoned highway or train station type of thing. It was really cool looking, but the actual stage itself wasn't that much fun to me. It had this weird barrier in the middle that kind of divided the left and the right sides, but it was just kind of awkward and hard to get up most of the times. I feel like my swimming mechanics just did not know how to work with the thing, and I don't know, I got stuck a lot of the time. It just felt like it was an awkward stage. I felt that the defense barriers were put in weird situations, and just like one of them would put right up on that ridge. It just felt like it was a weird, awkward stage to play on. Mincemeat Metalworks was pretty cool. It had this really cool long bridge that stretched from both sides, from both enemy teams, and you could actually run across the bridge in order to fight people. But what was so cool is it was a graded bridge, so that means you couldn't go into squid form or you would fall underneath. So you had to fight people by just straight up standing up and hiding behind cover, which just felt really cool and unique for the game. Museum di Alfonsino comes back, and it's a pretty okay stage, nothing too special in my opinion. I think one downside the stage can have is with the new Zipcaster weapon, people are able to get up into the high portion where the other team is only able to be, and they're able to get up there pretty quick and kind of push the enemies. Now I guess this could be the same case for really any stage, but I felt it to be a very big problem here at least, but it's an okay stage. Sturgeon Shipyard returns from Splatoon 2, which I absolutely hate. I can't be the only one out there that absolutely hates the stage so much. Please let me know. Scorch Gorge is another new one. It reminds me a lot of Black Belly's skate park. Relatively simple, but has this weird tower in the very middle, which if someone's controlling the tower, especially a really good charger, you're going to devastate the other team. And trust me, I did a lot. There's a lot of times I had my charger up there, or even the brand new Stringer, and I was just wrecking the other team from their side of the stage. Now, Eeltail Alley is another new one, but at the same time, it feels oddly familiar. To me, this feels almost exactly like Mincemeat Metalworks, but without the graded bridge. Instead, it's just a regular bridge that you can paint, which is cool. I like it. I actually like both of these stages a lot, but it's just like, it's kind of been done twice. Why did they do it twice? And this one, it just has, inkable bridges. I don't know. I like the idea of a giant bridge connecting both sides. The layout and everything just feels like they did it, but they did it twice. And of course, we have Maui Maui Resort, which is just a fan favorite stage. This is such a good stage. It's so chaotic, but in the good way, and it has two different forms. And we need more stages like this that just have a completely different version of a layout than most of the other stages. And I know a lot of people hate Moray Towers, but just as an example, that is what we need. I like stages to have a different layout the same way that one had, kind of a focus on verticality. I want to see more stuff like that that kind of changes how the stages look and stops playing it super safe. And I feel like most of the stages that we've seen so far and most of the stages in the game at launch are playing it a little too safe. Especially for the third game in the franchise, I want to see some more uniqueness with the stages. Final verdict is I was so wrong about Splatoon 3. I thought it was going to have very to little new content and just wasn't going to feel as fresh as the other two games. Now let's be honest, does it have special brand new modes this time around? No. Does it change up the core gameplay that much? Besides, obviously having the Squid Surge and some new, movement options? Not really. Overall, it still plays very much like Splatoon we once knew and loved. It's about the minor details for me is what really made this game shine through. Having a better online with a better lobby and better ways to party up and match up with people, a better way to drop out of games, switch your weapons, and continue moving on. Just the fluidity of this game entirety is so good. I loved all the changes they made from little to big, and I think this game is going to be a real fun experience, and that's just with the multiplayer that we know of so far. We don't know much about Salmon Run and of course the single player campaign, and that's obviously coming out in just 2 weeks. We get to have our hands on the full game. But let me know down below what you guys think of this game. I think it's going to be a blast, and it's going to be a heck of a third game for the series, and I can't wait to just completely grind this game. I've been wanting to get my hands on this game again so bad, and I keep turning on my Switch thinking I have it, but I still have to wait 2 weeks. But like I said, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this game, and like always, I will see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.